let's get started with a Rip Helm player on the left here, and our good guy Cameron on the right on dead guy. Good guy Ale. So, Brandon, thank you for showing us a hand. That seems quite strong. It could combo extremely quickly, except that Cameron's deck is mostly discard. So.
Power play. Bam.
Yep.
Sure, whatever.
And hopefully.
Is that though like counterspell?
That's a counterspell.
Interesting.
This is a counterspell.
He's gonna choose a counterspell.
Okay, that's really smart.
Okay. So, it depends on his turn 2 play, but I mean, unless it was like,
Yeah,
I think I disagree with taking the counterspell.
Go ahead.
Maybe the Enlightened Tutor was kind of nice. Maybe the Brainstorm as well. The thing is here, if we play a strong turn 2 play here, we're like Cameron's on the play, so Brandon wouldn't have had Counterspell Magic up.
I went to time last time, so I'm trying to keep it going.
And I did all these life totals manually because during filming this night, I guess we knocked the tablet up out of view here, so it wasn't in frame. Let me tell you guys, the amount of see, we have Bob. That wasn't gonna get countered. I mean, he probably would have slammed Counterspell on that card. But we're on the play, so he wouldn't have had it. Anyways, now I feel like he's just going to crack, and slam Rest in Peace. Yeah, because mostly Brandon is like not playing Miracles with like a Helm package, and he's not playing blue-white control with like a tiny combo attached. Like, this is a very dedicated combo deck. And
untap, upkeep, reveal the Bob.
Wow, freebie.
So good at this game.
Lose 0, damn it.
Good Bob, man.
Swing 2.
Yep.
So the thing is that without discard, this deck is going to have a really hard time actually dealing with Energy Field or Rest in Peace. So,
oh my God.
All right.
Okay, yeah, sure.
The double Bob is going to just draw into a bunch of cards. Let's see if he can rip what he needs here. Brandon draws Spell Pierce for the turn.
Spooky, go.
I could see an argument for, I don't know, main phase Brainstorm here and into Energy Field.
What was that? I'm sorry?
Seems pretty good, but he's going to hold off.
Oh, that's the...
It's
okay.
Collective Brutality.
So Cameron rips Collective Brutality and then Lingering Souls.
Lingering
That's a cool 5 life to lose this turn.
3.
And then he missed his draw for the turn. That's something that's rough. By the way, guys, that is not something that you can actually miss. Like, both players should be more on top of that. And I can't imagine a world where he doesn't Collective Brutality right now. Obviously, that's just going to prompt a Brainstorm out of... Well, no, maybe it'd prompt a Spell Pierce. I guess, yeah, I would just Spell Pierce that. It's going to trade a card.
Can I go then?
It may even turn one of his
Cameron.
dead lands into 2 life. Yeah, I could see 2-mode Collective Brutality, but he neglects to cast any spells. He isn't casting anything, so Brandon is like perfectly comfortable to just... He didn't even Brainstorm last turn because he wasn't under any pressure. And I see an Energy Field and a Jace. He doesn't even have to shuffle if he doesn't want to, so he could just play Field. So now it's assembled, and Cameron, his only out to this is Council's Judgment.
Upkeep.
And Brandon has Spell Pierce up. So take another cool 3 from the sword. And please draw for the turn.
Draw.
Okay. I'm curious now about this game. He is... Cameron has been short 1 card that he should have had since last turn. He also... Man, you gotta manage your mana economy, you know? Even if the card isn't great, you had 3 mana up last turn and you didn't use any of it, you know?
8. Black, black. Of course.
Maybe now he's realizing this Collected Brutality was unused.
Okay, what are the modes on this thing again?
And you have to have enough cards to escalate this, right? I feel like we have a land.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we have a land to pitch to Collected Brutality to gain 2 life, because Energy Field does not block a loss of life. And strangely enough, well, yeah, you can take Spell Pierce here.
Spell Pierce.
Which means I have to pay, what, 2?
Depends on the contents of your hand, really. And so we've got a lot of cards. I think that I think that a lot of players probably look at that 4th mode on Collective Brutality and think that it's not going to hurt the Energy Field player.
This one.
He's going to take that Spell Pierce.
No, 'cause-
Yeah, I think he's going to take the Spell
yeah,
Pierce.
that gets rid of a,
Um,
if you decide to,
the Force is just sort of
I
worse here without this next
You did.
Okay.
blue card, except for Jace. Man, we've got a lot of cards.
It hit the graveyard.
It did not. This is a replacement effect, so it doesn't actually hit the graveyard.
Right. That was the whole point of that. I'm so bad at this game.
And
That's okay. This combo sucks.
that's interesting. I mean, I think that those points mean that we're a little confused about how Energy Field and Rest in Peace interact here, which is unfortunate. I mean, he has no way of dealing with this once it's on the table except for Council's Judgment here. He still has an opportunity to grab it, even though his life is getting very low. Sure.
Imprint. For her.
Especially with how many cards
Does it go?
we have.
Does
I
it work?
mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's fine to cast that, but I think I would have preferred to just like throw Lingering Souls under the Collective Brutality, and the life total would be 10 to 10.
Okay. Well, either you let me get this, or you don't.
And I guess he's casting Stoneforge here. It thins your deck a little bit and makes sure that you don't flip Batterskull. And Brandon's not going to do anything about that because he no longer cares.
Yeah, I forgot about the rip in piece.
Brandon has no interest in countering this. He's just going to untap,
Myself with the batter.
slam Jace, and start looking for cards. Actually, maybe he won't slam Jace unless he thinks that Cameron doesn't think that he can attack him through Energy Field.
I get that out of my deck.
There are various... there are times
Fair,
when
yeah.
you're playing a deck like this and it has some interesting interactions, and
My go.
you can know that
Yeah,
lots of people aren't going to play optimally against it. I mean, that's just a plus side for playing some weird decks, man.
Fetch.
Yeah.
So fetch down to 11. Yeah, he's going to cast this Jace, and
Jace.
You've got a Jace.
I don't know why. Did we leave Sword mana up on purpose, or if you're worried about Wasteland, we should leave Tundra up. if we are
Whole plan was to
casting
bait
almost
field that
anything
Adam
else,
can't.
we leave
I'm a
plains
brainstorm.
or we leave island up.
Oh, so you could try to let me dome myself.
So I think it's just a little messy of a tap there. He can still cast
What kind of moron plays
a colorless
two
spell,
Dark
I
Confidant?
guess, but leaving up sword. I don't think he's leaving up sword.
Yeah, no, it's really fun.
Pithing needle?
All right, so he finds a pithing needle, and I guess we'll shut off Stoneforge.
Yeah.
It's unlikely that Cameron, with 2 Dark Confidants in play, will
Yeah,
not have something better to use his mana on
The whole
than
name
an
of that
irrelevant
thing.
Batterskull next turn, but that's okay. So Cameron
Kill yourself.
will be able to attack and kill Jace this turn.
Oh, that was a
And
mismatch.
with these 2 Bobs, he's really looking for his 1 outer, which I think
Yeah.
is
Reveal.
freebie,
Yeah.
which I think is Council's Judgment.
Reveal.
That's a 1. So Cameron goes down to 1
Go down.
and draw for the turn.
And drop.
Did you find it? Is that a Council's Judgment? Okay, so that's great. So Council's Judgment away, rest in peace. Well, I guess he has a force in hand. He might have put it back and he might not have found the blue card, but Council's Judgment on rest in peace.
You do?
Attack
You might.
Jace,
I
it goes to
don't
the
wanna.
graveyard.
You
Energy
might,
field
'cause I
disappears,
did
and then
brainstorm.
we're winning, right?
Well, I think I have to do this. White, black.
Wow. Council's Judgment.
Yeah.
Goes?
Brandon is very calmly lets it resolve
Energy field.
Okay.
because Cameron has chosen the wrong thing.
Now what should I do here?
I mean, he's still going to get to attack, yeah?
He's at 3?
So now he
He's at
feels...
3. Oh, sorry. Yes.
So what, can he gets 2 damage here, but
Don't kill my Jace.
man, that's rough because we needed to get rid of the energy field to like attack and get 2 damage here, but
take it.
actually we needed to get rid of rest in peace because he is dead to Helm. He's 100% dead to Helm.
9.
Brandon had it in hand already, so
You're supposed to pick the pit.
he must have been sweating bullets when Council's Judgment hit the table. Right now, he knows that he has the game won on on main step. Man, that sucks. Cameron is spinning his wheels here and doing a bunch of irrelevant stuff. And Brandon is just going to untap and beat him.
Okay, so I can get.
Oh, I also think, should Cam have left?
Black.
Hopefully he's leaving white up somehow. He has a sword in his hand.
White.
I don't think it really matters because on upkeep you could still
Oh man.
Can you sword your Bob before that trigger goes on the stack?
Don't
Maybe no, you can't.
put myself over.
So he's going to tap out. He's giving him an opportunity. If he doesn't die to Helm of Obedience, which he is going to, then I guess he could have
Gonna do it.
kill himself this next turn. But he wants to make sure he gets 2 more power on the
the green
table, I
souls?
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, Cameron does, or Brandon does not care about anything else that gets put on the stack.
I'm assuming Mike go after that.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Helm of Obedience.
Land Helm dead.
Yep, I'm dead.
Okay.
I was being so patient. I was like, ah. You're like planning and counting.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Cameron
Probably should've.
oh, I have the win in my hand.
had that game.
You didn't
That's
take the rest of
that's
these because you would have got rid
unfortunate
of the
Yeah.
in a few
discard,
days.
just discarded, like,
If I
first
hit
turn.
it, but I didn't have this.
Yeah, but you had 2 bobs on the table, so
That's true.
you pretty much had to hit discard or you.
Eventually. I'd hit it eventually.
Some of
I'm
the
curious to
things
see what YouTube's opinion on
about
what you should have
setting
done
up
there.
the tripod
Yeah, tell
every
me
single
my
Friday
mistakes.
and not having like a
No,
dedicated
I hope they
space
tell
to
me
do
mine,
this
'cause I need to get better at this
is
deck.
sometimes my frames aren't that great and things like
Keeping a million times.
I was not
keeping.
watching the fact that
that
somebody
makes me
had
wanna
knocked
keep
when he was
less,
playing
but I
that
will
slightly out and it's really bugging me. I apologize for all of these things.
Okay, yep.
right. Past the turn, because I got.
So Cameron on the play
You got a death ray
again.
You got a death ray charm.
He's going to launch into Deathrite, which, I mean,
Let's Tundra
every time I play against this deck, it just always has multiple copies of Rest in Peace, and Deathrite ends up being really useless. Plus, I've also found you cannot fight over the Rest in Peace until you're ready for it. You have to fight over Energy Field as soon as they have Rest in Peace out. But I very rarely throw a bunch of counter spells at the first Rest in Peace they're trying to resolve.
Draw.
Can't exactly do it.
Go.
Maybe.
Just he's got 4 of them in the main deck.
I can't do the thing I
It's
wanted
just
to do.
I'm nervous. I don't know what he's talking about.
without a fetch land, he cannot ramp
Inquisition.
into very
Inquisition
much,
of
so
Cockle
this will just be 2
Alright,
1-mana
well,
spells, or
here's
possibly
your
just this
choices.
1 Inquisition.
That's the rest of
You
it.
will see Terminus, Jace,
I don't want it.
and Luminarch Ascension.
Okay.
Should have just swords.
Luminarch's Ascension, by the way, works very well with Energy Field, because when you stop taking damage from your opponent, you can start pumping out this long string of angels. If you want to look that up, please do. It might be the only playable Ascension in Legacy. And by playable, I mean at least this guy has it in his deck. I wouldn't go so far as to say that it is good.
Hitting needle.
Alright. Deathrite Shaman will do 2 damage this game and then get shut off by a needle.
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, that's not fair. Maybe little Durst will get in for 1 damage this turn also.
Games 2 and 3, turn 1 chalices.
I don't know what's in your deck enough to pick anything else. I don't know.
2 both times.
We get in
Making
for
our
one.
land drops or attacking for 1.
Yeah,
Power play.
it's on both games post forward, yeah.
And
You're playing a Bob.
Happens. And then the whole rest of his hand was 1 drop.
This will make the clock pretty decent, and it'll mean that Jace is never really
Yep.
safe.
get him.
If Brandon takes too long to assemble very much, like
Okay.
he's already going into his turn 3 and he doesn't even have one of his cheap pieces of the combo assembled. But we are worried about Terminus, right? So
Grindy, yeah.
he has at least that going for him. We know that that's going to come, and it's going to be
I'm
soon.
gonna fetch.
Okay.
Hit this for white.
Or you can, I can play.
Wait. Oh yeah, I forgot to mark my damage.
That's close, turn 3 maybe.
Yeah. But in modern, I can, yeah. Turn 1, I can go right. Top 2 cards in my hand.
Luminarch Ascension.
In my deck.
Sure, what's that do?
All right, so
When
that
I
card
don't
is
take
an
combat
investment
damage,
for later in the game, and will
from your
do
turn, or
absolutely
when I don't
nothing
lose life,
now.
actually, I can
He's still going to be
plus counter.
losing life
And
here
then 4, I make a bunch of angels.
for the foreseeable
Yep,
future.
Untap, upkeep trigger. Oh.
He
Batter
bam domed by the batter skull.
That's a 4, right?
It's a 5.
It's a 5? Oh god.
It's the worst thing.
Yes!
And a drop
me
for
to
the
flip.
turn.
He deserves
It's okay. It gets it back once I finally get to play it.
It'd be funny in a lot of other matchups. It pose like a real problem,
land
but
for
here
10?
it's just comical. Oh, great! So okay, we get to do 3 damage this turn.
Swing in for 3.
Waste that Tundra without hesitation. Maybe play around
to
Spell Pierce
Torak.
first, I guess. I don't know. He's got a plains. Him to Turok. Brandon does not want to lose the Enlightened Tutor, so he's going to cast it.
This is a difficult choice.
I wonder what he's going to get. He searches for
In response,
Rest in Peace? It's interesting. I don't know.
God. Internet, what do I get here?
So
What's correct? I feel like everything is
I think
wrong.
he might lose his Jace and or his land. Is he holding a land? I don't know. That is ambitious. Wow, that's super ambitious. A 4-mana enchantment, you're about to lose most of your hand,
Reasonable.
and your Tundra is being wasted in
Maybe.
a second. So like, You might even miss your third land drop.
Sure. You want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Sure,
5, 6?
and the one I don't roll is, or the one I roll is the one you keep?
Okay,
right.
so
Which one's one?
1, 2.
Starting that way.
5,
Okay.
6. Okay.
flips over. He loses Terminus
That's
Jace.
it.
He's got one
Seems
card
pretty
left.
good for me.
You have to waste him now.
Pass the turn.
And yeah, so he had a hand. Brandon had a land left in his hand. So out of complete shock that he did not get wastelanded, he just kind of throws it all out there.
Go?
I gotta be honest, that sequencing is a little
I think vote's right?
sus
2, 2.
to kind of go from draw to main like that.
Oh.
So Cameron had this game in a really favorable state, and now there's a moat in play, and his Deathrite Shaman is needled. So Luminarch Ascension is going to start ticking up here. It's still possible for Cameron to get flyers. He's playing a Lingering Souls deck, and on top of that, like, there isn't a
Now, but maybe
Rest in
eventually.
Peace in play yet, so you can get a lot of value out of them if you find one. Now Stoneforge will just thin the deck a little bit. A sword is quite nice here. Just needs to land on a creature
And then
that can
he
attack.
helped me anyway.
So Cameron needs Brandon to not find anything
Right.
while he jams out
Lego?
something. I don't waste him, man. I don't want him to untap and just cast Jace.
I think I can go ahead and do this.
Yeah, you should have done it last turn.
Yeah, I should have.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm really bad at this deck.
Yeah.
Your turn.
One counter on Luminarch. Ponder?
Yeah.
Draw? Ponder?
He keeps with the Ponder.
Rest
He
in peace.
finds Rest in Peace. Now only the front side.
Already crap.
Now only
Good.
the front side of Lingering Souls is going to do anything.
Reveal.
But he finds it.
Oh,
3.
internet, please.
So now a draw for the turn, and he can. So he's going to fly over the moat next turn, and if he has another land, he's going to be able to do that with an uncounterable Sword of Fire and Ice on one of them.
'Cause then I'll be able to start.
Wow,
doing
this
some
is
stuff.
um,
Right.
this game would have been nearly impossible for Cameron to lose if he had wasted that Tundra.
Why didn't I play the waste?
But as it stands now,
Yeah.
he's still just like really threatening
Upkeep.
lethal quickly here.
5.
Gets a really bad Deathrite Shaman and then a regular draw.
Wait, that was just a land, right? That you got?
No, it was a death right.
That's right, so you take one.
I
oh, you already
already
did.
marked
Okay,
it.
sorry. I just literally. Just fucking.
We had a land. So now you can
Okay.
activate
Sorry.
Stoneforge and equip. And what does Sword of Fire and Ice do? It's got a lot of text. It's one of those things I miss a lot. Doesn't it make his attack for 6?
Activate.
Wow, that's a convenient life total when your opponent is at 12.
Sword. Equip.
Yeah.
Heyo.
Hit you for. This will do 5. He'll do 6.
Okay, yeah.
And I draw.
Yeah. So.
Draws another card.
6 total.
Yeah.
I think I'm dead.
Go.
Wow, that is. He needs Terminus here?
Future
And as I
player.
jam them, they
He did his miracle check, and Yep, you're taking 6 next turn.
Yeah, I'm taking 6 next turn, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yep. Wow. Okay.
Damn it.
Unless he flips his
I left
hammer
it.
skull somehow.
I
Yeah,
want
the
everybody
whole
to
second
know
battle skull.
that a blue-white control deck
the thing
of
is,
various
I say
stripes
yes,
that
even
only
if I know
plays
I
like
have
one
to.
tundra
Just
in
because
the
I
entire
make him
thing
Make
is
me
going
take a
to be
scoop
very
Because I would've been
annoyed
able to
when
get-
you
letting kill myself.
I would've
waste
been
him
able
down
to
to
get the win.
2 or 3 mana.
Or
And
at
over
least
the
the
long
lockout.
course of the game, it seems like, oh, he just had a ton of lands anyway.
course.
Well, no, I mean, if you
And I
had messed him up right before his turn 4, set him back a turn, that game wouldn't have even
I
been
sleeve
close.
I sleeve all of my cards in yellow and just mark my deck boxes with numbers.
Here's
that
Brandon
there's no
back on
telling
the
what
play
deck I've
with an
brought.
energy field.
Unless it's Manaless Dredge, and then it's in the gold streaks.
Cameron really needs a much
Okay.
more discard-heavy hand than he has even kept in the
And
past.
play. In case that wasn't clear.
I have not seen any of those, like, turn 1 Thoughtseize you, turn 2 Hymn you.
You gotta mold that. It's
Things.
garbage.
Crazy enough to
Garbage. Garbage.
crazy enough to try it.
Alright. Keeping?
Yeah.
Go.
All right. I get a draw. Totally not punished.
Brandon holds up Spell Pierce for turn 1, which is great. I'd snap that off on an Inquisition
Halfway punished.
or a Thoughtseize every time.
Good. Gonna try to run it up. It's better this turn than next turn. Who gives it?
I go?
Yeah. Rip.
Ripping Pisces. Got that counterspell mana ready. Give me something good. Pass.
And 0 fetches to begin the game again. 0 fetches. The Deathrite looks a little anemic. That's worth a spell.
Inquisition. We're gonna spell pierce that. It's probably what you would have taken anyway, but I just didn't want you to see my hand.
Probably.
And I guess Deathrite just drains for 2 this turn. I mean, there haven't been any of those occasions where Deathrite has ramped him into 3 mana in an efficient way. The deck isn't just, it's just not curving out very well.
Razor?
You can build a deck around this. It's like it's the original like all the best planeswalkers. You can put in whatever you want.
So we've got Force, Energy Field,
What Hypergenesis is.
some lands, no shuffle. Is he keeping, he kept Supreme Verdict in hand.
Oh, because Vault Key is actually in one.
Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
response,
Yeah, okay, so
I use it once.
Deathrite again just
and
only removes 1 card in an entire game.
so that I'm winning by 3 points.
I think when Cameron put a Bayou and a Savannah in his deck just to splash for Deathrite Shaman, he was expecting this card to be much more of a powerhouse than he's finding. It's a fantastic card. I almost always play 4, but he's not. Waste him. Just waste him. It would take some heavy consideration about your 3 mana for me to not want to keep my opponent off 4.
Yep.
Even better. Yeah, that's another mana source for us.
Yeah, okay.
So it's on white.
Alright, so note the Chrome Mox makes white. I think it's better when we put the card under
get
the
some
card.
flyers,
Okay,
please.
guys. So I guess Cameron is holding up Daze mana, and then we'll waste him.
Cast it again if you say no.
All right.
Hey-o.
And I'll raise.
Good job. Like a
Yeah.
brainstorm.
Sure.
Exactly half. Actually, like that.
Yeah, and we see the pressure that this puts
What?
Brandon under when he
No, you gotta put cards
is
back.
losing his land drops from the last turn he's now like using inefficient cantrips and stuff to make sure that he hits. And he's always just like a little bit more behind now. He's further away from that supreme verdict that he was holding in hand earlier, like very comfortably. Slowly reverse the order on the brainstorm.
Good.
All right.
Swinging for 2. Pay a flat.
Yeah.
Thoughtseize. Oh,
Yeah, buddy.
that thing is getting verdicted anyway.
All right.
You have it.
Is that enough value, guys? If it's just two spirits and the Deathrite Shaman, is that enough to verdict here? I think it is. 'Cause your opponent spends another turn casting the backside of Lingering Souls, and you're just over there not taking any damage for the turn, and then ramping into more combo pieces.
Oh, did you?
I think this shuffle is to clear the top of the library. Just looking for a rest in peace, really. Maybe if we found a rest in peace, I'd be more hesitant and feel like I didn't have to deal with the field yet, because then Deathrite just is shut off. With the land that happened this way, though, it looks like Verdict is actually uncastable.
On top.
Another thing that is affected by the Wasteland, right?
Yup.
The clock is 4. It's still reasonable.
Activate removing. Yeah.
Cam goes to 11, and the Terminus will clear everything out.
11 goes to the bottom right.
Yeah, bottom.
That was a raw. That was a blind Terminus after that shuffle,
That's it. Go.
and he's choked on white mana. Unsure if that's mattering very much. He's just leaving up counterspell, I guess.
Or go flashback.
Is that worth a counterspell?
Michael.
Apparently not. He draws the rest in peace one turn late, and will keep counterspell up.
Wish I would have got that a turn earlier.
Aha. Never mind. So now, I wonder if Brandon has the counterspell to protect himself. Now, in this situation, since there isn't a Jace to attack and put in the graveyard, the Council's Judgment would need to name something else. Wow, he actually had it?
Of course.
Yeah.
I had to try it.
This time, Brandon has more protection in hand and is at a healthy 10. And will... I don't think that Cameron has a choice or a chance anymore. Brandon will just search for Enlightened Tutor or Helm, whatever comes first. Play lands and relax.
Go.
And agree. Go.
And that'll be it. I guess the brainstorm found him everything that he wanted, and he just left the Helm up on top of the library for protection.
But I didn't know if I
That game. Okay, so in this series there were some questionable plays
I had the
on both
counterspell,
sides,
this was sitting on top.
and there were some missed opportunities. But that
So
last
That was a-
game
that was a
with
lucky brain. I
felt like I
the
had
hand
to jump.
dealt to Cam,
He got
I don't think he could have played that
and
any different. He couldn't have won that.